it's Reed and welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are going over the first color change that I'm teaching on this channel. A color change is basically just a way of taking one card and visually changing it into another card. So we'll be going over something called the Erdnase color change today. It's a very old color change. It was written up in a book called Expert at the Card Table back in 1902. Especially if you're interested in card table deceptions, it's a really great book to get started. It's a little confusing to understand because it was written so long ago, but if you can get through it, it's a good book, has a lot of good stuff in there. So this color change is from that book. It's a very easy color change. Won't be too long of a video, but there's definitely a lot of good variations on it that I will be showing you in this video. I've gotten a couple requests to teach some color changes, so I got a few in the works, and this is the first one. Without any further ado, let's get right into the video. All right, it's time for a quick demonstration. This is how the Erdnase color change can look. Take the Jack of Hearts and actually change it right into the 10 of Clubs. Time for some basic exposure. We'll take the Queen of Spades, all right? And we'll rub my hand over it. All right. And it'll change right into the 8 of Diamonds. All right, so now you have a pretty good idea of how this color change works. And it really comes down to some of the subtleties and some of the tips that I'll give you that'll make this really convincing. So I'll just go over this color change in the most basic way, how it was taught in Expert at the Card Table by Erdnase. And then in the uses and other ideas section is when I'll get into some of the other ideas I've came across and some of the ways that I'll use this or some of the ideas I have on it. So in its most basic form, you're going to perform it with the deck face up, okay? Now all you're going to be doing is shifting the bottom card underneath the second from bottom card, and that's going to be how you achieve the color change. So what you need to do is you need to bring the hand fully over top of the deck, okay? As you do that, you're going to be pushing the card forward about half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. The better you get with this, the less margin you can make that. But you need to make it enough that you can steal out this bottom card. You also don't want to come here and up jog it so that they see you move the card. You want to give the illusion that the whole deck is still underneath the 8 of Diamonds, right? So you want to give this illusion here. You see that the deck is all aligned, and then when I bring the hand over, I want to give the illusion that the deck is still all aligned here and the 8 isn't hanging over the top. Now I have a variation that I perform a lot where I do want them to see this, but I'll get into that in the uses and other ideas section. So you bring the hand over. How you do that is you're going to contact the card with this portion of the palm just below where the pinky begins, okay? And that's kind of as you bring your hand in like this, you come over and push forward. That's how I do it. You can just come and contact it with this part of your palm, kind of right beneath the fingers. You can just come over top and you're gonna contact the card and push it forward with that. I like to come in at kind of a side angle. So I come in like this and I start to turn, and just as this pinky covers that corner is when I will push the card forward. And in that, I'm more using this part of the hand. I mean, there's not too much of a science to this. You kind of do whatever's comfortable. I kind of come in like this. I think it just looks a little nicer. So like that, all right? But again, most basic way, you can just come in, hand straight over top, and use this part of the hand and just kind of push that card forward. Now it's important you only push one card forward. I'd say that's pretty easy to do and you shouldn't have too much trouble. If you're getting more than one card, you're just applying too much pressure, so just apply a little bit lighter. Okay, next what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull the hand back, exposing this card again. Okay, what you definitely do not want to do is expose this card. You never want the audience to know, that it's the second card that you're changing it with. So never let them see that. If you're talking and you happen to flash the second card, that's not good, and I would recommend that you switch out the card that you're going to do a shift with so that they don't know that it's the card right beneath. We're in this position and our hand's over top. So we're pulling the hand back and kind of with the heel. So this part of the hand right here is where we're going to be contacting that bottom card. Now this is the only part of this move that's a bit of a knack. You need to get comfortable at pulling back one card and only one card, which can be a little tricky. Again, if you're getting too many, you're just applying a bit too much pressure. You're gonna have to find that balance where you have enough pressure that the card does come with your hand as you pull back, but that not more than one card comes. So again, if you're getting too many cards, you're just applying a bit too much pressure. So I'd say somewhere between here and here is where you want to do that pulling action. It doesn't have to be, you know, on these bones right here. I'd say most people it's in the padded region right there where they start to pull back, and that's what I do. So right about in this area is where I'll contact that card and pull it back. Okay, so essentially we're pulling it back into this modified sort of classic palm. That's not really a palm, it's just, that's the position it's going to be in. Okay, so we pull it back until the point where that card clears this front card. And once it's cleared, then we're good to go. So from the top, it looks like this. We've cleared it, and then we're going to start to replace that card. Okay, so we have the card here. Make sure you keep your fingers closed so you have all the windows closed and you don't flash that you have a card underneath your hand. And now you bring that card forward. Just as the fingers cover that card that's stuck out again, you start to push it backwards back on top of the deck, okay? Now again, you don't want to do this and have them see that. It looks a little suspicious. So just as your fingers come, you start to push back. As you're bringing this hand forward, which obviously is going to bring this card forward, just until the point where they line up, and then you quickly bring the hands back, okay? And that's really all it is. So quickly, you come in, push the card forward. Once the card is forward off the deck, okay, you pull back with the heel, you pull back that second card. Once they clear, you start to move forward. Once you cover that card, you use the index finger on the left hand to push it back on top of the deck while you finish squaring up, and you pull away and you have done the change. One little pointer that I just thought about, to do the square up, I like to pinch these fingers on this side against the fat of the thumb here, and that helps the card square up this way. And then as this finger pulls back and this goes forward, obviously both cards will just contact this at the front, and then you're all square. So that kind of allows you to get that very square. Just squeeze these together, right? So I'll show you. So you come here, squeeze together, and now the card has a nice track to go on. And then you go, and you push, and then it'll just come square by hitting this index finger. So that's another good tip for the squaring portion. So that's the basic breakdown for this. It's really a pretty simple move, and I think for the people who know this, the other uses and ideas section will be where you'll get a lot of value out of this video. So let's jump into some subtleties. Now there's a few little things. I like to do a little bit of visual retention kind of thing after I've done the switch, and just act like I've picked up that card. I try to sort of convince the audience that all I've done is put my hand over top and taken the card away. I want them to think that this is how I did the switch, by palming the card off, which essentially is the same switch, but now you're left with the card in your hand. So that's kind of the idea I like to make my audience believe. And how I do that, so I come here and I do the shift, and then I kind of come like this with this hand, like I'm holding something. Hold it for a few seconds, and then you can kind of show that your hand's totally empty. That's a bit of visual retention. So we're kind of convincing them of something that's in our hand, and then it vanishes. So it adds another little element, and then that makes the change, or perhaps the vanish, seem a little bit more impossible, right? So I like to do that little motion. I come here, and then I'll start to almost like I'm pulling when I come from this corner to this corner, and then like I'm holding something. So at speed, it kind of looks like, right? This is one of those moves you're gonna wanna do pretty fast. Not like, you know, not like that, not supersonic, but you know, nice come in, boom, boom, boom. Especially that replacement. Once you've gotten to here, you don't want to have this top card covered for as long as possible. So that's why when you do the steal, quickly show that card again. Don't leave your hand over it too long. And then when you go to do the replacement, be as quick as you can here. You know, don't keep your hand covering their card for long. You literally want to leave in their mind that you really didn't even cover the card. So if you go really fast, it kind of gives that impression that you never really covered the card. Because look, you see the Jack of Hearts, and now you see the Queen of Spades. It doesn't really look like I covered the card because I did it so fast. Even though I did totally cover the card fully at one point, because I do it so fast, it just seems like it totally vanishes and changes. It just makes the change that much stronger to do that that replacement phase quite fast. In terms of body language, just make sure you're fluid, you know, have these nice kind of wavy hand motions, right? A color change is something that we want to seem kind of magical. I mean, that's the reason you do color changes at the end of the day. So, you know, build it up, do some of these kind of nice and finesse, wavy sort of fluid hand motions. Make the motion, you know, one nice fluid action and you'll be good to go. All right, so I got quite a few little other ideas for this move. So the first one would be, I would, you know, refrain from performing this on the bottom of the deck. It just makes it a little bit more obvious that you're just changing it for the second card because all the cards are face up. If you do this on the top of the deck, right, imagine this situation. Imagine they think you only have one card on the top of all these face down cards, and then you change it, right? If all the cards are face down, then their mind isn't gonna jump to the fact that you just switched it with the card underneath because they think all the cards are face down. So in their mind, if you were to do that, it would look like this. So I always like to do this with a double, right? Just get a double and perform this. That's one good idea. Another thing that's kind of tied into this, if you do want to do a vanish, this is a great way to do a vanish. So you just do it with one card face up on the top of the deck, then you go like this. You can pretend to palm it off and it's vanished. You know, there are a lot of ways you can do, a lot of ideas you can play with that. Just, you can literally just come here and just go vanish, right? It's a really great vanish as well. So like I was saying, one way I like to do this is by leaving the card jogged. I'll take a double and I'll start with it on top of the deck, right? And then as I do the push, I make sure they see that the card's going forward. So now in their mind, they know the card is jogged. And I think it adds a little bit of a nice moment. Now when I do the Erdnase and I do the square up, the card is still jogged from the side of the deck. One good thing is now I can pick it up where I have it hanging off the deck and hold the double, makes it a little bit more convincing. But it also just adds that nice element, right? They see the card jogged and it's still jogged. So it just makes the change feel a little bit more impossible, I think, when the card's jogged a little bit. Now it also plays in nicely to the next part. So the next idea is as you come in, you can pull the card and come off to the side a bit. And that's going to show the deck face down. That's a nice little subtlety. So all you're doing there is you're just using this corner of the deck to hold that card in position, right? So as you come, you can just press the card into your palm using the corner of the deck, and that's what it's balancing on. This also ties into another great idea. So what you can do, right now if I open my hands, you'll see the card through the windows. But if we can get this card further back, just a little bit, now I can open my hand and it looks totally empty. So there are a few ways to do that. You can come in and you start pulling back on the card a little bit earlier, right? If you were pulling here with the card, just back it up to there, and now the card will be much further back in the hand. But one way that I like to do it, you know, I'm pretty comfortable pulling it out this way, so I don't switch that up much. But what I'll do is I'll come over to the side, and then you have this middle finger or ring finger underneath from the left hand that you can contact the card with and push it back. Okay, so I'll kind of show you how that looks here. Let's find a good angle, right? And then this will come and slide that card back. It's a little bit of a tricky thing, but you know, I can do it pretty well now, so I'll kind of like to do that. But whatever method you use, you know, both are good methods. Now, when you come to the side, you can open your fingers, and that's a really great subtlety to have the fingers open the whole time. Now, as you move the card forward, you can use these fingers to kind of help it stick, right? It comes from the corner to the fingers, and now you're here, and then the fingers are open, and then you just come a little bit further past the card, leaving the fingers open. You do the replacement, and now you come, and that's, you know, quite a bit better of a change. It looks a little bit more convincing. The square up for there, just use the index, or the middle, the thumb and the index. And those will be your 3 points where you can really square that up nicely. So how that looks at a bit of a better speed, you come in, right? The card's jogged, the hand looks empty. And you know, that just looks a little bit better of a change to me. It makes them really feel like they had their eyes on that card the whole time and it just instantly changed in front of them. If you want to take this a whole step further, if you wave the hand over the card and it doesn't change, and you do that a couple times, then when it does change, it feels a little bit more, you know, magical, a little bit more impressive, and it adds a little bit of a subtlety in the audience's mind. So what you do, you're going to use the fingers, and then you'll use the top of the deck and the card here to keep that card in the palm, and then you'll go and use the thumb of the left hand. So now the thumb of the left hand is holding the card, and then I'll slide the card up the thumb and up the hand. I've even seen some people do it up the arm, which I think is a little weird, but you can come over onto the thumb, up the hand, and now you've shown the card from this side, you've shown the card from this side, and this is a really nice subtlety where you can pass the hand over top of the card, and then when you're ready, you come over the card and you do the replacement. And look how amazing that looks, right? So that's another really good idea that I do like to do sometimes. Now, this idea of keeping the hands open, I believe I saw from Alex Pandrea. That was a great idea that he talks about in his Erdnase color change tutorial. And then I believe bringing up the thumb like this was something I saw Xavier Spade do in maybe his the winter change or something like that. But he has another change where he does something similar to that. And I thought that was a great little subtlety because you get to wave the hand over top of the deck like that. The last thing I'll quickly touch on is how to ditch that double. There might be a situation for one of you where you want to be able to then use this card and not have it be a double in your performance or wherever you tend to use this. You know, for me, this is something I don't use much in performance unless it's a banish, but here's what you can do. So once you've done the change, just simply take that card off, do a wrist kill, and that's a good way to get clean for the most part. Again, this will kind of not work so well if you need to use the deck. So another way you can take that double, right? Flip it, and then second deal, and then now you have that card on the table. You know, there's a lot of different ways to clean up this move. It's definitely easier on the bottom of the deck to clean up because you do the change, and then you can just, you know, go ahead from there. I'd probably give the deck a cut so that 5 is no longer on the bottom. All right, that's it for the Erdnase color change. A pretty great little color change. Really, I think its strongest use is in the vanish, honestly. That's what I use all the time. It's a really strong kind of vanish if you do it right. It's a great little color change. Practice, it's super easy, and that's what's great about it. You know, make it harder and make it look a lot better if you want, but you don't need to. But it can definitely be used for more advanced people if you use some of these subtleties that are pretty cool. So this is a lot of the information I've just kind of compiled together in this video of some of the things that I've learned over the years on this specific move. So, you know, practice, get the color change down, and color changes are something that's fun, very good for cameras, very visual. You know, this one's really great for people because it's not angle sensitive. You can pretty much do it from all angles. With all that said, please like, drop a comment, and do not forget to subscribe. And I will catch you in the next video.